All praise and honor, glory to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, BAHASHAM, or crocodile, stubborn honest to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and the sincere shalom to the darkness out there, pushing the sincerity and the truth and the sound doctrine. Really good video. Social media has definitely opened up, ways to
And look, sudsy and blue
just do things.
and
You
no
know what
work.
I mean?
It's blue. It smells good.
So,
and look at it. Just
if
sits
you
in there
didn't see already
and
with
keeps
this
doing the
video,
work for you.
very strange video.
I love.
And I'm doing this video because this just shows how easy it's going to be when Revelation, Mark of the Beast, Revelation 13 happens, right? How easy it's going to be to get people to take that. Like you with the vaccine, it was really easy. Somewhat really easy,
Flush it.
to get people to do it because you
And
have
look,
social media, you have all
sudsy
these
and blue
programs, you have all these channels, the channel
and no work.
interviews and
It's
stuff.
blue.
Like that.
It smells good.
All kinds of different sources and stuff like that. So, I've been looking at a lot of these little hacks and stuff like that, and like I said, if you didn't catch it with this video by now, they poke holes in the Dawn bottle or the soap, the dish, soap or whatever. They put it in the toilet,
sudsy and
and
blue
they say it's supposed to keep the toilet clean, but
and no work. It's blue. It smells good.
as all the
look
comments on here say,
it just sits in there and keeps doing the work for you.
Obvious reasons. You see obvious reasons. Let me just get to the scriptures, man. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Like I said, I've seen way worse. And I've seen some hacks that actually work. But social media, like I said, social media has turned everybody into a influence or a so-called influencer, right? And look at that word, influencer. Right? That's kind of what goes into this video here. Leaders, pretty much. Influence. You put a certain influence out there to people, right? And like I said, every social media has made everybody an influencer. Even people that really shouldn't be are influencers. And obviously, this person should not be an influencer because you're telling people just to waste money. I mean, this is just obvious reasons just to show you that it's just a stupid idea. All right. But again, you got people out there that follow it and they just say, hey, this is a good idea, right? This is a good idea, right? So Matthew 15 and 14. And I get, everything on the internet is not really real, so you got to watch out for the trolls. But again, some people out there don't know that. And then they like, okay, well, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. Let me go ahead and try that. Let me go ahead and poke holes in the Dawn bottle. A full Dawn bottle, which Dawn is not really all that cheap. Dawn is a pretty good detergent. I guess depending on which kind you get. But Dawn in general is actually a pretty good quality soap. All right, it's not really cheap, right? So you got people out there that'll say, well, yeah, that looks like a pretty good idea. Let me go ahead and keep my toilet clean by poking holes in it, and although the soap is going to run out anyway. And again, just that, I mean, like I said, it's for obvious reasons, man. So this Matthew 15 and 14. Let them alone. It says, they be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch. So just picture that real quick, right? A blind person, because usually, a blind person usually has somebody that's there guiding them most of the time, not all the time, most of the time, and they got them by the arm and they just kind of guiding them. Well, if that person also is blind, they're more than likely going to walk into a street. They're going to run into a wall. They're not going to know what to do, right? They're not going to know what the hell to do. All right. Let's get it in the Berean Study Bible. Disregard them. Yeah, disregard stuff like this, man. This is why I say a lot of times, sometimes, a lot of times there is a such thing called too much internet. All right. And this here is just way too much internet, way too much misinformation and stuff like this, right? Like I said, I see stuff like this. I'm sure all of you, I'm not unique. Everybody, all of us, we see stuff like this pretty much on a daily basis. You see something that's just like, why would you do that? And what's even worse than stuff like this, because like I said, this isn't nowhere near the worst that I've seen. Nowhere near it. This is considered this is kind of considered normal almost compared to the things that a lot of us have seen. You have the challenges, that's all over social media. All right, the challenges. This also proves that everybody's meant to be led. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's meant to be led. All right, everybody is. Because if not, everybody is being led. Although some people don't believe that. Although some people say, well, I'm my own leader. I'm my own this and I'm my own that. Well, if you were your own person, your own leader or whatever, you could say you're working to provide, you're working your job to provide, for your house and stuff like that. But is it really you doing it? See, you're working, but you can work for, there's a such thing as working for free. Obviously, if we work for free, you ain't doing it. But again, who's really providing? Right? The system. You really think about it like that. Yeah, you're doing the manual work and you're doing the work and you're getting paid, I guess, for it. But again, you're getting paid for it. That means you're being led. You're being told what to do. You're being led. And if you don't do that job, you don't get paid for it. So it's really the system. It's really the government that's really provided for your house, not really you. You know what I mean? If you really think about it like that. Right? But again, going back to this topic here with the social media and the influencer thing. I'm sure all of us remember the Tide Pod challenge where they put those little Tide soap pods, that you throw in a washer. It's like coming in little pouches, like the Tide soap comes in like the little pouches. And what they would do is they would, the people would, put those little Tide pods, in their mouth, and I guess hold it until it bursts. I don't know. One of the recent ones is the Kia challenge, right? The cinnamon challenge. That's kind of an old classic one. You take a spoonful of cinnamon and just try to down it. I mean, it's so many more, that we can think of. There was a thing where you would put your tongue into a outlet. I remember that, and people died from that, obviously. Big surprise, right? It just goes on and on and on. So that's why I'm not really specifically doing it on this video, but this is just something. And the title says, my cleaning lady, taught me this. Okay. All right. Anyway, disregard them. Yeah, disregard this stuff, man. It says they are blind guides. And if a blind man leads a blind man, both will fall into a pit. Right? This world, this world is full of lies and robbery. All right, so let's get Nahum 3. Right. There we are. Right. Nahum 3:1. New International Version. Woe to the city of blood, full of lies, full of plunder, never without victims. Sheesh. Never without victims. It goes another one. New Living Translation. What sorrow awaits Nineveh? This is the city of murder and lies. She is crammed with wealth and is never without victims again. Sure, you could say, yeah, this is specifically talking about Nineveh. But if you understand the language of the Bible, as we always like going into, and understanding the way the Bible works, you would know that, this, number one, you would know that this place called the United States of America is pretty much every kingdom mixed in one. And within those little sub kingdoms and those sub cities, I guess, should I say, within these kingdoms, like Nineveh and all this other stuff. What's the other one? Sodom and Gomorrah. That's a really good one. I'm trying to think of the other one. That was Gehenna. That's what I was thinking of. America is literally all of that mixed in one. So you have the Assyrian, Babylonian, Medo-Persian, Grecian, Roman, and it goes on, man. These are all jumbled. It's all in one. This is why when the Lord smites the statue on the hill, you smite a statue on the hill, you get rid of it. You fall. If you get somebody's like, let's say somebody gets shot in their heel, they're going to more than likely fall. Right? It all comes crumbling down. That hand that overtakes the heel, that, again, very symbolic to Jacob taking Esau's heel. Very symbolic, man. Right? So this place is full of lies. This place is full of robbery. Right? And again, it's always without victims. Everybody here is a victim. Everybody here is a victim. It just so happen to be that Israelites are the biggest victims, the so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans. But guess what? The top rats, the top Jews, they don't give a goddamn about you regular rats that's here in Park Heights, Baltimore. They don't care about y'all. Y'all victims too. Yeah, y'all had to take that vaccine. You know what I mean? Them rats over there in Israel. Yeah, they had to take the vaccine too, man. We don't give them too much power. It's the higher ups. They the ones that run this stuff. They're the ones that keep their blood pure. They keep their seed line pure, let me say. Keep their seed line pure because they understand that Israelites are everywhere. They know that. Israelites are everywhere. And Israelites are most definitely. There's an awful lot of us in that Jewish community. No doubt about it, because we are mixing. We are everywhere. The higher ups, the Rothschilds, the Rockefeller, they don't do none of that mixing stuff. They don't do none of that. They the ones that know, right? They're the ones that are behind these lies and are behind this robbery. Everybody's a victim. That's why do you think the people are mourning? Esau, they're victims. You see the way they're upset. You know what I mean? You see the stuff that they're doing. So this place is done, man. Right? It's full of lies and robbery. What possesses you to get on the internet and say, "Hey, I'm going to show the people today. Let's poke holes in a perfectly good Dawn bottle that could last me for at least a few weeks to a month, at least a few weeks to a month." Right? No, I'm gonna poke a bunch of holes in a perfectly good Dawn bottle. It is going to be. I think that was a good comment I just saw on it. Okay, it closed out. That was a pretty good comment. The first top with it said, "Well, it's going to be empty by dawn." That was a pretty good one, But that's all I was doing this video for, man. The social media don't. The scripture says, "Arise and depart." Let's get that real quick. I think it's Micah, chapter 2, and I want to say I kind of like this better. I think it's Micah 2:10. Yeah, I think it's Micah 2:10. Yep. Yeah, that's it. Arise ye and depart. Oops, lock it. Yep, it says, "Arise ye and depart." All right, because it says, "For this is not your rest. It is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction." It says, "Up, be gone. This is no longer your land, home, for you have filled it with sin and ruined it completely. Right. So I actually went into this a little bit. This is really going into other Israelites making like pretty much, making the land defiled pretty much. And then you have the righteous that say, hey, get like this one here, up, be gone. This is no longer your land. This is no longer your land and home, for you have filled it with sin and ruined it completely. Right. So this is other Israelites ruining, right, ruining the land, and they're pretty much being kicked out. The wicked Israelites being kicked out. But again, this also goes for this too, this land too. This land, this realm in general, was meant for destruction. And I did a video not too long ago going into the righteous. This world is too wicked for anything righteous, right? The righteous is way too good to be here. Anything righteous is way too good to be here. Again, this is why this place is just meant for punishment and then destruction, right? As far as the state of this society is meant for imprisonment and then destruction. And then once everything is rebooted, once everything is reset, and I'm talking about a hard reset, then we're good. But as of right now, righteousness, do I dare say, almost it doesn't even belong here. Righteousness doesn't even belong here. And I say that carefully because if it didn't belong, then it wouldn't be any part of righteousness here. But there are some righteous things here, and part of the righteous things is, well, really the only righteous thing here is the word of the Lord. That's it. And you see how much it doesn't even mix. But it does at the same time, because the word of the Lord is also this wicked society. It's just purely wicked. Right? So anyway, that's pretty much all I got on this, man. Arise and depart. Don't the elders, kind of go into, Jake with looking at way too much social media. Yeah. You gotta really be careful. Cause next thing you know, you're gonna say, well, this is hybrid, so I ain't eating it. That is hybrid, so I ain't eating it. And I ain't doing this, I ain't doing that. And, next thing you know, you're gonna be finding yourself poking holes. You're gonna come to camp one day and say, man, Akim, I just saw something on the internet where I poke holes in a Listerine bottle where I can rinse my mouth a lot faster by just poking holes in it or something like that, man. Yeah, next thing you know, you're gonna find yourself doing that stuff, man. Next thing you know, you're gonna find yourself coming to camp one day, Akim, man, I bought this. I got a super clean toilet now, man. What I did was I poked some holes in it, put it in the little toilet bowl thing, and let it drain out. Oh, you got the Dawn bottle still? I mean, so like I said,